Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your prime time destination for the news, the newsmakers, the talking points. Let's get straight to the 9 headlines at 9 this Friday night. Yes Bank depositors angry as the RBI limits the withdrawal to 50,000 rupees. The Finance Minister insists that no depositor will lose any money. State Bank of India says Nirmala Sitharaman has expressed interest in taking over the private bank along with LIC. As the political slugfest breaks out over the Yes Bank crisis, Nirmala Sitharaman blames the UPA regime for the bad loans. Chidambaram hits back, accuses the NDA of inaction. Yes Bank founder Rana Kapoor breaks silence, claims he is not outside the country. He says he was not involved in the functioning of the bank for the last 13 months. Bloodbath on Dalal Street following the Yes Bank crisis. Sensex and Nifty closed more than 2% down after the worst opening in 2020. A Karnataka court says the anti-CAA play staged by a school in Bidar doesn't amount to sedition. Bail is granted to all the accused. Madhya Pradesh political drama continues. 3 Congress MLAs remain out of reach. Kamal Nath says his MLAs cannot be bought. Suspended Aam Aadmi Party councillor Tahir Hussain sent to 7-day police custody. Hussain accused in the murder of IB official Ankit Sharma. He releases audios to claim that he was in constant touch with the police and outside his house when the attack took place. Active coronavirus cases in India touch 28 after one more man tests positive in Delhi. More than 6.5 lakh passengers are screened at 30 airports. Coronavirus cases now cross 1 lakh worldwide according to Johns Hopkins University. China, South Korea, Iran, Italy among the worst hit. The death toll rises to 3,408. But our top story remains the panic that has set in among Yes Bank customers a day after the Reserve Bank of India put restrictions on the 4th largest private bank in the country. Remember, Yes Bank customers as per RBI rules can now only withdraw rupees 50,000 per month as the bank was placed under moratorium. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman though tried to ease the panic by insisting that no depositor would lose their money. Aishwarya Paliwal now brings you the day's top story. The Yes Bank that is now a no bank.
Anger, panic, frustration, and long queues. Depositors of Yes Bank are seeing their worst nightmare come true.
यहाँ आई थी बोला बैंक में कुछ नहीं होगा, आपकी एफडी आपको मिलेगा, और अब हम कहाँ से लावे इतने सारे पैसे.
Bank should at least consider human relations and human subsistence. लोगों की सैलरी आ जाइए, उनका घर चलना है.
पैसा फंस गया ना, दिक्कत तो यही है, पता नहीं लगता किस बैंक पे भरोसा करें, किस पे ना करें.
Panic gripped Yes Bank customers across India after the Reserve Bank put the 4th largest private bank under moratorium and limited withdrawals to 50,000 rupees.
This is the time when we have to get admission to next session for our kids. So those who have a salary account in the banks, so it's definitely a shock news for them.
हमारा इसमें सैलरी अकाउंट है, कल ही अभी सैलरी हमारी आई है इस अकाउंट में, वही निकालना चाह रहे हैं, खर्चे के लिए निकल ही नहीं रहा है अभी पैसा. अब बैंक वाले अभी कह रहे हैं निकलेगा आपका 50,000 से नीचे है तो निकल जाएगा आपका पैसा.
We want to withdraw some money for marriage purposes actually. The problem is whatever our planning is going to destroy today.
Government should take action immediately to support the traders. Basically, this bank is helping the traders, and traders' help has totally been stopped by the bank, which is wrong.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has assured the depositors will not lose any money.
I want to also assure every depositor that their money shall be safe. Their monies are safe.
The RBI says a revival plan will be ready in 30 days.
30 days which we have given is the outer limit, and you will see, very swift action from the Reserve Bank of India to put in place, a scheme to revive the Yes Bank.
Efforts are on for a bailout for Yes Bank. An SBI-led consortium could invest in the bank. The chief of India's largest public sector bank held talks with the finance minister.
SBI has expressed a willingness to definitely invest in the Yes Bank. And the bank shall also invest in the equity of the reconstruction process, which is required, the equity which is required for the reconstruction process.
Former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram took to Twitter to claim Yes Bank loan book grew considerably after demonetization.
It shows complete regulatory failure. And I wonder if this is the end or there will be more in the line.
With Aishwarya Paliwal, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the man at the center of the Yes Bank crisis is its co-founder Rana Kapoor, who was ousted by the Reserve Bank of India last year following the deteriorating financial health of the bank. Rana Kapoor scripted the phenomenal rise of Yes Bank with a banking model that was seen to be dependent on risky loans simply to boost profits. However, the model seems to have backfired as exposure to troubled companies have gone on to take a toll on the bank's financial health. Let's take a look at the rise and fall of Rana Kapoor.
Rana Kapoor, the man who scripted the Yes Bank success story. Under Rana, the Yes Bank gained a reputation of never saying no to risky borrowers. The model was simple: loans to risky customers at higher interest rates, higher fees against collateral that included shares of borrowing companies. Yes Bank, under Rana, would go on to build assets of worth 3.71 lakh crores. Surging profits, largely from the upfront fees it earned from the risky term loans, boosted the bank's share price. At one point, its market cap reached over 90,000 crore, turning Rana into a billionaire. Soon, Rana's business model backfired on Yes Bank. Since 2018, exposure to troubled companies such as IL&FS, DHFL, Jet Airways, and Anil Ambani's Reliance Group, SL Group, and Cox & Kings created huge asset quality pressures for the mid-sized bank. Now, when the banking giant he founded is in tatters, all Rana Kapoor would say in a conversation to India Today is he has not been involved with the bank for the past 13 months. Kapoor was ousted by the central bank last year, and his entire stakes were sold out by the lenders who had them under pledge. With Rajdeep Dubey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise the big questions on the news today. Why was Yes Bank given such a long rope? Some are asking. Did the Reserve Bank of India step in simply too late? Is the banking mess bigger than we think? Will there be other banks now on the RBI radar? And the question that customers are asking, how safe is our money in banks? It's time for our talking point. And joining me then on my talking point on Yes Bank, I'm joined by Pawan Khera, the Congress spokesperson, Bhanu Chandra, spokesperson of the BJP, Abhizar Divanji is a partner at Ernst & Young. I'm also joined by Rajdeep Dubey, managing editor at Business Today. Hemant Roy is one of the customers who's taken a hit as a result of what's happened in Yes Bank. Hemant, let me come to you first.
Yeah.
You've lost what? How much money do you have in the bank?
Yeah, actually it was around 20 lakh, and this is not the main problem. Actually, we have to pay salary, and it's a holy time, and internet banking is not working.
You have a small company, is it?
Yeah, I have a small company, and we have a staff of around 40 people. The main problem is that we have to pay salary, we have to pay server bills, we have to pay internet bills, and we are totally in deadlock situation.
Because the bank is giving you 50,000, you withdrew 50,000 this morning.
Yeah, actually I managed to get it 50,000 in the morning today itself.
But have you explained to the bank authorities or someone, look, that you're running a company, you need more money?
Because even they don't have any idea basically.
They don't have any idea.
They don't have any idea. They don't have any prior information what is going to be the next step for the RBI. They are actually telling me the RBI guidelines only.
Yeah, the circular says that it applies to all accounts. So it applies to
current accounts, to all accounts.
Current account, saving account.
So what does he do in this case?
FDs.
Yeah.
What happens typically in such cases is that it gets relaxed over a period of time. But that relaxation may come next week, week after, or maybe towards the end of the month. Now the question is, when will that relaxation come? When will the funds come into the bank? Only then that relaxation will come.
So there's an element of uncertainty that continues to prevail. Abhisar Divanji, as someone who's tracked this story, are you surprised with what happened? Was this waiting to happen ever since 2016-17, when we knew that Yes Bank was in trouble and an inspection led to the RBI denying an extension to its founder and chief executive Rana Kapoor in 2017 itself? Has it been building up?
No, I don't think the situation was as clear, Rajdeep, in my opinion, at that point in time. But clearly the delayed action has led to the situation becoming more and more grave. I would accept that. However, what has happened is, in my opinion, a larger structural issue. And the structural issue in India is that a bank in India has never been allowed to fail. And if a bank has never been allowed to fail, the share price remains high, the depositors remain positive, despite there only being a 5 lakh cap on the sureties, and the bondholders seem very positive. When these things happen, for a distressed bank, their ability for anyone to come and restructure it is impossible. So structurally, we could never get a share price down to the right levels for an investor to come. What I see now happening with the scheme, at least, is that structurally we have corrected it for a long-term investor to come in pretty quickly.
So in that sense, do you believe this is the kind of wake-up call, Abhisar, that was needed? This is a private bank which was set up amidst much hype and hoopla. Do you believe that this was the wake-up call that was needed to even wake up the private sector banks?
Absolutely, because this bank was not run well initially, and that's the reason RBI took a step a year back to get Rana out. But after that, they put in a new management, but that management was frustrated with the capital structure. So I guess this is a wake-up call to everybody to say that, let the capital structure flow to the market and allow fresh capital to come.
Okay,
and I think now is the time when an RBI is also open to a large majority shareholder coming in, which is good news.
Okay, so somewhere in the collapse, or at least the decline of Yes Bank, we have an opportunity. I want to come to my two politicians for a moment, because Pawan Khera, let's be very clear, the Congress seems to be blaming the NDA, saying the NDA is responsible for allowing the situation to reach this pass where a moratorium has to be called on loans. Do you believe that, in a sense, that this problem only really started in 2017, or it's been building up over a period of time? There are those who believe that many of the Yes Bank loans were greened up during when the UPA was also evergreen, during the UPA years as well. So it's not as if this is only an NDA problem.
Rajdeep, Yes Bank was founded in 2004.
Yes.
Between 2004 and 14, if you see the loan book of Yes Bank, the loan went up by 54,872 crore in 10 years between 2004 and 14. Between 2014 and 19, 5 years, the loan book shows the loan went up by 1,85,867 crore. I'll give you the example of Cox and Kings, for example. Now, Cox and King, we all know what happened to the company. Instead of treating that as loan, Yes Bank treated it as equity and bought 18% plus of Cox and Kings in 2018, as recent as this. The share value of Cox and King today is 65 paisa per share. So the total equity is 2 crore 60 lakhs of Cox and Kings. Was it under UPA or was it under NDA? I asked them. This is I'm just giving you one example. How can you blame UPA where I've shown you the loan book, I've given you figures of the loan book as compared to what happened in the last 5 years? If the RBI representative was already on board, on the board of Yes Bank for the last year plus, why this knee-jerk reaction where the depositors are joining a queue trying to withdraw their own money?
So you
why wasn't it
completely deny the
solution
charge
found first?
You completely deny the charge being made that between 2007 and 13 many banks like Yes Bank were not regulated in the manner that they should have been, and so they got away. Many of them were supposedly having political connections.
Rajdeep, when I can show you the loan book, when I have shown you the figures,
yes.
I mean, where is the question of any charge or any denial of any charge? There is no charge. How can there be a charge? I've given you the figures. The rest of the banking sector, if you look at the loan books of other banks, it rose by 10% and of Yes Bank by 35% in the last 5 years. Why? How? Especially when all banks were really going through a bad patch in 18-19, they could not, there was no, credit was not being given. Yes Bank rises by 35% and they blame UPA.
Let's turn at the...
There's a clear case of, I mean, Credit Suisse has given a data of 7,77,000 crore loan waivers. We want a list. Let the government come out with a list. कि आपने किन किन लोगों के कर्जे माफ किए पिछले 5 साल में, लिस्ट सामने लाइए 7,77,000 करोड़ की.
Let me take
that asking for too much.
Let me
After all, this is a government जो कह रहे थे स्विट्जरलैंड में जितने बैंक से उनके भी अकाउंट सामने ले आएंगे. अरे तो आप ये तो बताइए किस किस के लोन माफ किए आपने.
Let me take that to Bhanu Chandra, of the spokesperson of the BJP. The list I have, some of the big defaulters to whom the banks had advanced funds include ILFS, Anil Ambani Group, CG Par, Cox & Kings, Cafe Coffee Day, SL Group, SL Par, Vardharaj Cement, Radius Developers, Mantri Group. In a sense, the government seems to have been lenient towards misgovernance and practices in recent years, allowed the bank to continue to, in a sense, over-leverage itself till the point is reached where it doesn't have the capital to fund anymore the bank itself, and you have a moratorium declared by the RBI. So can the NDA fully escape any responsibility anymore? This is not a crisis that is only, as the NDA suggests, a UPA crisis. This started from 2017, the companies I'm mentioning.
Before I begin, I just want to make one thing very clear, that no depositor is going to lose even a single paisa of money. So let's make it very, very clear. Coming to the question that you have raised, there are two aspects to it. One is the economic aspect to it, and then the political aspect to it. The economic aspect is Yes Bank, as you had mentioned in your remarks, is a private sector bank. Till 2018, only by end of 2018 did the RBI, which was regulating private sector banks, came to know about the weak compliance, and they asked Rana Kapoor to step down. And since it's a private sector bank, they waited for the new management to raise money, and they were trying to raise capital, and which was not successful, which was deemed to be not successful only 2 months ago. So only when there's a market failure can the government step in, and which the government has stepped in right now. The RBI has now come up with the new rules, and the very calm and clear-headed manner in which it has gone about this will be lauded in a month or so when things calm down.
2017-18.
So
why did you have to wait till why did you have to wait till 2020? The worry is that all these problems come to a head, and that's when you act.
I'm coming to this.
Apparently, according to the finance minister, she was talking to the RBI. But could she have done more? Could the government have done more than talk to the RBI?
And why not put it under prompt corrective action? You've done it for so many banks. Why don't you do it for a...
Just a minute, Bhanu. Just a minute, Bhanu.
The question was posed to the RBI.
Just a minute, Bhanu. Rajiv, are you saying that in 2017 the government could have done more?
Yeah, you could have.
What could they have done? They replaced the CEO,
managing director.
They replaced the managing director. What more are they to do at that time?
You could have put the same bank under prompt corrective action as you have done to 10 other banks. There are still, IOB, Indian Overseas Bank, Central Bank, UCO Bank, UBI, Lakshmi Vilas Bank. These have IDBI Bank, which was finally sold to to LIC, this could have also gone under prompt corrective action, which would have meant that you won't have a situation of an emergency like this, where people are actually queuing up, almost like demonetization. That kind
You're
of
saying that the government could have done what they've done today in 2017 itself?
They could have easily done it, put it under prompt corrective action, just as they have done for
Why
other
do you
banks.
think they didn't do it?
That's a mystery. You can't make out why this is not why this hasn't been done, because they were saying that for the management kept saying that they are going to get an investor, and that investor money is coming. It's coming now. It's coming now. It kept on delaying for the past 3 months until it reached a situation where the bank doesn't even have the funds to even pay the depositors who want to withdraw cash.
So is it bad supervision by the RBI or bad management by the bank, or both?
I think it's both. You know, removing the management doesn't change the bank. Basically, you have to change the processes in the bank, and for that it was very essential that there was a PCA mechanism deployed much before than we are.
You agree with that, Abhizar, that this could have been done in 2017-18 with prompt corrective action itself?
So I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. First of all, technically, prompt corrective action can be done only if certain financial parameters are not met.
Yeah.
In Yes Bank's case, frankly, we did not have a situation where any of the parameters were not met. Their NPA percentages as declared were not as high for declaring of a PCA, nor was the capital shortfall. Even today, by the way, the capital shortfall is not there. Its net worth is 28,000 crores. The problem is, and what RBI could have possibly done earlier, RBI did it last year, is to gauge where structurally Yes Bank sat. And that is, I think, a systemic failure. Our ability to understand what a systemic failure is and how to deal with systemic failure is, I think, lacking. Did the RBI come after him? They did. Did the RBI appoint an ex-deputy governor on the board to make sure that there is less bullying by the ex-promoter? They did. Did they get the ex-promoter to completely exit the company? They did. In the meantime, was the existing management trying to do something more fruitful in terms of getting capital? They tried. Why did they not get capital? Because of structural issues. So you got to understand these things. Now, should Yes Bank have been picked up 5 years earlier than it did? Possibly. Have we lacked on regulation or supervision across the banking sector? Yes. But we are facing a very difficult situation since the last 3 to 4 years, since 2014-15, where a lot of our corporates have been exposed. And Yes Bank particularly seems to have upfronted a lot of their income by showing great performances and high lending. All of that has come back to fruition now with the losses. Now we really need a positive step instead of a prompt corrective action. I haven't seen any bank having done prompt corrective action and actually improve performance. You know, the only way they improve performance is fresh capital.
But the only reason why I was saying was that we know that that this bank's NPAs are far worse than what have been declared. You see, 9,000 crore NPA declared last, 7.5% NPAs declared as of now of the 2,22,000 crore of loan outstanding, and 35,000 crore under watch in very bad credit rating. So almost 50,000 crore of crisis in the bank in terms of non-performing assets. This is why I meant. This is what I meant by
But is it a question then, Abhizar, of supervision, or is it a case of simply bad management?
No, of course bad management. I think first of all bad management. There's no question about it. As I said, in banking it's easiest to upfront income, and that's really what Yes Bank has done over the years. So coupled with bad management is of course the issue of a lack of supervision, because that issue could have been identified much earlier, which is what not, as Rajiv rightly points out, that there is a backlog of bad debts, and somebody could have identified those bad debts much earlier. When a new investor can come and easily point it out in 3 months, I'm sure a supervision could have done it earlier. So I do believe that supervision was lacking.
Look at the messaging that's going on, Bhanu Chandra. The second major instance of RBI superseding a major bank within a span of a year. September last year, Maharashtra-based PMC Bank following financial irregularities. We've got an NBFC crisis, bank fraud, bank crisis. It doesn't look good for the government, purely in terms of optics and perception. This is getting, it just doesn't look good. Would you concede or not?
the Yes Bank was regulated by the RBI, the same questions that was thrown by you to the other panelists just a minute ago was given to the RBI governor, and what he said was like, we could argue on the timing, and had the RBI intervened a few months ago, then people would have called it as a premature intervention. But anyway, that apart, the political nature of this bad debts has to be investigated, as the finance minister was saying. The list of companies you said, from Anil Ambani's group to ILNFS to all the real estate companies that Yes Bank lent to between 2007 to 2013, the cronyism instituted by the Congress regime of the world will be investigated, and things will be brought out very soon.
So you will only investigate 2007 to 13 and not what happened post 2013. But this charge, every time a bank
not at all. Everything will be investigated.
Every time a bank is in crisis, Pawan Kheda, the BJP turns around and says, remember what happened, the cronyism, the phone calls that used to go to bank managers allegedly between 2007 and 13. How do you respond to this? Is this now going to be the familiar tutu meme, even as one bank after the other finds itself in a crisis?
Rajdeep, the fact that the economy was live and kicking under the UPA cannot be denied. People, it's a right of an investor or a corporate to borrow, and it's the duty of a financial institution to lend. I mean, it's not a crime to borrow and lend. After all, that's how businesses work. So I don't think you can blame any corporate for borrowing during a time when there was hope in the economy, there was buoyancy in the economy. Come Narendra Modi, come demonetization, things come to a grinding halt and the economy is, where it is now. So now you say, कि उस वक्त लोन दिया था, अब गड़बड़ हो गई, इसलिए ये हो रहा है. It's absolutely, it's intellectual dishonesty of the worst kind. We want them to come out with a list.
The superstar
of the last 5 years.
They left India at the fragile 5. Okay, what are you talking about?
Okay, let's not do a tutu meme. Yeah, I've agreed that you're not into a debate, so I've accepted that if you're not into a debate.
The difference between a doctor and a quack, Rajdeep. एक डॉक्टर और नीम हकीम में जो अंतर होता है वो दिख जाता है निर्मला सीतारमण में और चिदम्बरम साहब.
Yeah, there were four quacks during that time, superstar quacks.
Earlier there was a doctor who was at the hem of the affair, and now they are quacks. Quacks, Neem Hakim, not even compounders, they are bloody quacks.
Okay, let's,
quacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
You're talking about yourself,
right? Of having talent around him. He himself is absolutely clueless. Nirmala Sitharaman is clueless. They are quacks. It's a cabinet of quacks.
Okay, let's.
You were reduced to 44 because of the economic performance, my friend.
Producer, let's go back and let's switch off the mics, because this can go on about who's a quack and who's not. Let's not personalize it. I want to go back to the systemic failure. Abhi sir, what is the message for private banks? These were seen in the 2004-05 when the Yes Banks came, that this was Indian banking, actually expanding, finding a professionalization. Now you've got professional managers under scrutiny, the likes of Rana Kapoor in this instance. What is the larger message here?
Message, I think, is that, and I say this, first of all, India should make sure that we have better lending abilities to better projects. Our big issues are that in our system, and this is irrespective of governments, please mind you, I'm pretty neutral to governments, but irrespective of the governments, in India, the economic environment and the interpersonal environment is such that getting things done actually require very large promoters to intervene. So professional managements by themselves to run business in India is quite difficult. In that kind of a situation, lending then becomes a high corporate governance type issue, and we've seen that in the past. Our banks, frankly, had to lend taking that risks on their balance sheets. So something that they could not control actually came on a bank's balance sheet. I'm talking generic about banks.
Right.
So for example, if a power project was not able to acquire land, or a highway was not able to acquire land, the systemic risk of that loss, financial loss, was sitting on a bank's balance sheet. And that is what the bank has borne on its balance sheet over the years. If we can correct the way we are going to be able to make projects more viable, contracts more amenable and honorable, I think lending will take that risk away from banks. And that's the systemic risk we really need to work towards. I think it's across, it's happened internationally, banking sector has exploited, and a lot of people have lost money, like we saw the 2008 crisis globally.
Right.
India is no different. But we have to learn from that mistake. The globals have learned from that mistake. We need to learn from our mistake. And if we make our lending that much more risk-free for the banking system, the better it will be.
Good points, Abhisar, but the question therefore is corporate governance, the manner in which loans are lent. It's an entire systemic crisis that's coming to haunt us.
Yeah, and even in this case, one of the biggest reasons why he was asked to, he was not allowed to carry on was the issue of corporate governance, and related party transactions was the issue that was raised. I believe there have been 3 forensic investigations reports that RBI, that Yes Bank did on behalf of RBI, which were reports which were submitted to RBI. Nothing has come out of those reports after all. So one would like to know exactly what happened. What did they find?
So there are serious issues of the way corporate governance takes place even in private banks.
Absolutely.
And therefore these are questions that will in a sense have to be answered now in the context of what's happened with Yes Bank. Let me ask you, Hemant, at the end.
Yes, sir.
What do you see this month of March?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very difficult situation for us because people are saying we are not going to lose money, but what to do now, and for how we will manage to get the fund to pay the salary. And it's not only about the salary. The problem is that it's going to impact our business as well. If this deadlock will continue, so how our employee will retain with us, and how this problem is going to be serious with us.
Is that a legitimate concern? Or do you believe that now that the finance minister said, don't panic, every depositor will get back its money, should Hemant be reassured?
So Rajdeep, just like in every other case, just like in the case of PMC for instance, they kept on extended and kept on relaxing and increasing this limit. So it's likely the quicker they can get SBI on board, the faster this will happen. Now SBI is something which has deep pockets, which can easily bring in that 10,000 crore that this bank needs.
Within a couple of weeks?
It easily can bring that kind of money. LIC is another big deep pocket organization which already owns 8% of this company. LIC, SBI coming together, putting in something like 10,000 crore will get the engines going, and the scare that was there will go away slowly. But the question is, how soon can that happen?
30 seconds, Abhisar. Look at where we've come. A private sector bank is being bailed out by a public sector bank and LIC. Very quickly, what does that say?
No, that basically says that the public sector banks are very well capitalized to be able to fund it. It also says, it also says that I think we should move away from government-based directed funding to more market-based funding, and I'd like to see more of that in the Yes Bank case, and I think it will happen, because what SBI has committed right now is only 2,450 crores.
Right.
And in my opinion, Yes Bank needs at least 15,000 crores. And I think and I hope that this is a precursor for a larger investor to come over and dilute SBI down to 26%.
What we also hope is that, Hemant, that you're able to withdraw the money that you need to pay the salaries sooner rather than later, hopefully within the next week itself.
Yeah, I hope so.
You can only hope so. I hope the finance minister and indeed those in government are listening to the plight of those like Hemant and can act as soon as possible. Thank you all very much for joining me this evening on My Talking Point. Let's now turn to our continuous focus on the riots that took place in Northeast Delhi and its aftermath. The victims have suffered already because of the violence, many of them leaving their homes and living in relief camps. But now they face another danger. Heavy rains in the last 24 hours have flooded several relief camps. For example, the one located at Eidgah in Mustafabad, adding to the woes of the riot victims. People not able to sleep as the mattresses are totally drenched. But with their houses burnt, they simply have nowhere to go. Munish Pandey has tonight's ground report.
Just a few days back, these people had their own homes. But after losing everything to the riots in Delhi, the untimely rains have made their life difficult. Over thousands who took shelter in these relief camps at Mustafabad are forced to live in this misery.
The life here is not very good, and especially in these circumstances when just few days back they were staying in their own houses.
खुद का घर था और दरवाजा तोड़ा और सब कुछ लुटा और 10 सिलेंडर जला दिए और जल गया पूरा घर.
Every person here has a story which is not very good to hear, because people here are really suffering. When the rain comes here, there was water, and due to which the entire bedding was drenched into water. They were unable to sleep.
Noor Jahan lost her house in Shiv Vihar area during the violence. She is staying in the camp with other 15 relatives.
रात भर बारिश भाई ये बैठे ही करेगा, वो देखते रहे कैसा होगा. या ज्यादा पानी आएगा तो यहाँ रुक जाएगा, नहीं रुक जाएगा. ये भी तमु है, कोई घर के मकान तो है ना, कैसे करें.
The Delhi government has also designated the shelter homes in Usmanpur area. But not a single person has turned up at this relief camp.
आ तो रहे हैं, रोज आ रहे हैं लोग पूछने के लिए, मगर यहाँ पर वो लोग आ नहीं रहे क्योंकि एक तो लोकेशन दूर पड़ रहा है, दूसरा वो अपनी मेजॉरिटी में थोड़ा सेफ महसूस करते हैं.
The story is the same in camp number 202, which is designated for women and children.
अभी तक तो सर कोई नहीं आया ऐसा, मगर आ सकते, अगर आएंगे तो हम रखेंगे उन्हें यहाँ पर. क्या पता शायद उन्हें पता ना हो इन बसेरों के बारे में.
In these relief camps, life is not very good, and this changing weather is further making their life more difficult. With camera person Deepak, this is Manish Pandey in Delhi for India Today.
Now, the Delhi riots didn't spare anyone, not even little children. Tonight, we bring you the story of an 8-year-old girl who became the victim of a horrific acid attack. Pooja Shali reports on one of the darker parts of the violence of Delhi.
She is all of 8 years, but is scarred for life. Caught in the deadly communal riots that engulfed parts of northeast Delhi for 2 days. An acid-like liquid was thrown at this little girl while she was returning home with her mother from a wedding. Burn marks around her right eye are evidence of the horror she was forced to witness.
सड़क पे हाँ गली में थे हम. जब
फिर
पेश का पत्ते जब वो पन क्या तेजाब था, पन क्या था, डर में तो लगी रही है और खाना भी नहीं खा रही है ये जब से.
इसकी शक्ल इस तरीके से हो गई थी, मतलब बिल्कुल देखी नहीं जा रही थी. जैसे एक साइड से तो लग रहा था कुछ है और एक साइड से तो बिल्कुल लक्ष्मी भी, चपाक पिक्चर की लक्ष्मी थी ना, मैं तो उस देख के ही हिल गई थी, आंख भी नहीं खुल पा रही थी. अब तो बहुत सही हो गई है, बहुत ज़्यादा. ये तो रोती थी कि पता नहीं बुआ मेरी आंख खुल पाएगी नहीं खुल पाएगी, मैं देख पाऊंगी नहीं देख पाऊंगी.
The girl recounting the horror that she saw.
वहाँ पे बहुत लोग थे. क्या हुआ था फिर वहाँ पे?
वहाँ पर ना दंगे चल रहे थे.
अच्छा, तो किसी ने आप पे कुछ गिरा दिया?
हाँ.
क्या लगा आपको उस वक्त?
उस वक्त मेरे को बहुत जलन हुई और बहुत शरीर में गरम गरम लगने लग गया.
फिर आपने क्या किया फिर उसके बाद?
चिल्लाई में बड़ी तेज.
As the little girl recovers from her physical injury, counselors add that the trauma of witnessing mob violence so closely can impact a child's mind for life. She is still fearful of interacting with strangers, and importantly, the horror that she still remembers of that mob on the streets. Who will be answerable to this little child on what has been inflicted upon them and many like her here in Delhi? With Dinesh Lal, Pooja Shali for India Today.
And do you want to help that little girl? Well, Pooja will tell you exactly how you can do so. You can mail Pooja Shali on pooja.shali@aajtak.com, and she will tell you how you can help this little girl. Let me turn from there to our focus on coronavirus. One new coronavirus positive case has been reported in Delhi today, taking the total positive cases to 28. Amidst the growing concerns over the outbreak and its impact, the Health Minister continues to assure citizens that all precautionary measures are in place. Let's take a look at today's update on the coronavirus crisis.
One more person has tested positive for the deadly coronavirus in the national capital. The patient had travelled to Thailand and Malaysia. With this, the number of active cases in Delhi has surged to 5. In Ghaziabad, a 57-year-old businessman who recently travelled to Iran tested positive for the virus on Thursday.
ये जो है एक व्यक्ति थे 57 साल के, ये अपना तेहरान से घूम कर आए थे। ये आए हुए तो करीब 23 फरवरी को लौट आए थे, लेकिन हमारे को जो सूचना शासन से मिली थी वो 2 मार्च को मिली थी। फीवर से ग्रसित थे, 2 दिन से फीवर आ रहा था और इनका हमने सैंपल उसी दिन लिया और सेम डे हमने NCDC लैब दिल्ली में भेज दिया था।
2 Italian tourists, a husband and a wife, are undergoing treatment at Jaipur's SM Medical College. The other 14 Italian tourists are at Medanta Hospital in Gurugram. The centre has ordered screening of all international flights and passengers coming into the country. 6.5 lakh passengers across 6,500 flights have been screened so far.
विश्व स्वास्थ्य संगठन ने तो जनवरी के अंत में इसको अंतर्राष्ट्रीय इमरजेंसी घोषित किया। हमने उसके 2 हफ्ता पहले से सारा काम प्रारंभ कर दिया था और जो भी कुछ करना आवश्यक है, बाहर से विदेशों से आने वाले, आज तो हम 100% पैसेंजर्स की स्क्रीनिंग कर रहे हैं।
Amidst the growing concerns over coronavirus outbreak, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and several other leaders have announced they will not celebrate Holi next week as part of the preventive measures. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's turn away from all the bad news that we seem to keep giving you to the good news story of the day. Today's good news story: clean and safe public washrooms should be a basic right for everyone, particularly in the times in which we live. Now, 2 people in Pune have taken an initiative to provide precisely this simple right. Here is a report on this initiative of a group that calls itself Washroom on Wheels.
This Pune-based duo is taking the concept of public hygiene to a next level. A washroom on wheels. Launched in 2016 with just 4 pink buses with 12 mobile washrooms, entrepreneurs Ulka Sadalkar and Rajiv Kher have been converting scrapped buses into ladies' toilets. And now the washroom on wheels has been rolled out in 3 cities in the country.
So this idea was an initiative by the Pune Municipal Commissioner in 2016, that's Kunal Kumar, and the PMC that time. So they wanted to provide toilets for women. We had the means and the way to do it. So that's how it came about into action, that they made the buses available, they made the locations available, and we made the buses at our factory, and we have a long history in managing portable toilets, our company, and that's how the idea came into being.
These buses on wheels not only provide clean toilets for women, but they also have various facilities including sanitary napkins, a small canteen and a breastfeeding room. A woman employee is deputed at each one of these mobile washrooms.
बहुत बढ़िया, अच्छा है, बहुत क्लीनलेस है और ऐसी हर जगह होना चाहिए। अभी हमको इमरजेंसी महिलाओं के लिए खास अच्छा है, हर जगह ऐसी होनी चाहिए, सेफ्टी सुविधा महिलाओं के लिए।
Sadalkar and Kher will launch their next project on the occasion of Women's Day at the Bangalore airport. Their target is 1,000 mobile toilets across India in the next 5 years. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, Friday night, time to leave you with our image of the day. It has been a rather unusual 48 hours in several parts of northwestern and central India because it's been raining and it's been snowing as well. While the rain swept the plains, snowfall has hit isolated places in hills across Uttarakhand, intensifying the winter conditions almost. So it's early March and it's winter-like conditions. I've just come through a thunderstorm myself today to office. This is India, this wonderful land where you never know what tomorrow brings. Have a great and safe weekend. I want to leave you with one thought. Sunday, the Indian women in blue will be playing the World T20 final. Let's cheer Harmanpreet Kaur and Team India. Our good wishes to them on Women's Day. That's it for now. Leave you with those lovely images of winter in March. Bye for now.